Hello, and welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 36, and it is the final installment for the 1932 to 1933 Oscars. This one took me a while to get through. I was doing pretty good at the beginning. I started on May 21st, and by May 30th, I had watched 6 of the 10 movies. And then I watched 2 on June 9th and 1 on July 7th. And then finally this one on August 8th. So it took me nearly 3 months to finish these movies. So hopefully going forward, I will be able to watch them a little quicker. Still trying to get to 52 before I start posting these. Still a ways off, but should hopefully happen soon. Okay, so this one is as I said, the final one for the 1932 to 33 Oscars, when it was still called Outstanding Production. And the movie this time was Cavalcade, which won Best Picture. I saw this on YouTube. I thought I was going to have to rent it, and then I did find a version on YouTube. Unfortunately, the subtitles were in Spanish, so I couldn't use subtitles. It was a little hard to hear in places. The YouTube ones are not always the best quality unless you're renting from YouTube. The one on Amazon probably would have been a little better quality, but this was fine. Just the audio was a little off. So I did get to watch this one for free, which was good. I only had to pay for one this round out of 10, which is not bad. So anyway, Cavalcade, I'll kind of give a little bit of a review first and just say that I did not love this movie. It was definitely not what I would pick for Best Picture in this round. This set of movies for this year, I really liked at the beginning. Like, they started off really good. And then at a certain point, they started to fall off for me. And this one, I may have liked this one the least. I can't remember every review I've given so far for the ones that I didn't like as much, but this one, it didn't do anything for me. So I'll read a little bit of the Wikipedia and then kind of give my thoughts. But so Cavalcade, it's a 1933 American epic pre-code drama film directed by Frank Lloyd, screenplay by Reginald Berkeley and Sonia Levian, and it is based on the 1931 play of the same title by Noel Coward. The film stars Diana Wynyard and Clive Brook. Cavalcade kind of refers to the way the movie is presented. It's like it goes from 1899 to 1933, kind of focusing around New Year's Eve each time, and not always, but around that time, and kind of showing snapshots in the lives of a couple of different families, one being a rich family and one being like a lower class family that initially works for the rich family. So from Wikipedia here, the story presents a view of English life during the first third of the 20th century, from New Year's Eve 1899 to New Year's Day 1933, from the point of view of well-to-do London residents Jane and Robert Marriott, their children, their close friends, and their servants. Several historical events affect the lives of the characters or serve as background for the film, including the Second Boer War, the death of Queen Victoria, the sinking of the RMS Titanic, and World War I. Throughout the film, the passage of years is indicated by dates on title cards, with a medieval cavalcade marching in the background. The film won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. I don't know. I'm going to spoil a little bit. I try not to with these, even though they're 100 years old. But the one thing that really annoyed me, so they do kind of show those major events in England during the course of the movie. And the one that really got me, so the rich family has another family that they're friends with. And at the beginning of the movie, their kids are all young. And, over the course of the movie, when it gets into the 1900s, the kids are older. And, the son of the main family and the daughter of their friend fall in love and they get married. And they're on their honeymoon. and they're standing on the deck of a ship talking about, their future and in the weirdest way possible. And then they walk away from the railing of the ship, and you see the little life preserver that says Titanic. And I'm like, really? Okay. And there was some other stuff that, like, the timelines didn't really make sense. There was one point where the first time you see those two, the man and the woman kind of falling in love, they show a title card by panning across this. They're at the beach and they're panning across somebody that's sculpting all these like famous faces into sand. And at the bottom, it says 1909. The daughter of the servants that they kind of focus on a little bit is maybe 8, 9, and 10 in the movie. The actress was 10 at the time. And then the next scene that they show basically it was, I think, 6 years later. But then they show this girl as now she was a dancer, and now she's become like sort of a big deal dancer. And the other son of the rich family sees that it's her and kind of courts her. But at most, she was like 16, and she was played by a 27-year-old actress. Now, Hollywood does that all the time. They get 20 and 30-year-olds to play teenagers because they look young. But I was confused. The timelines were all out of whack and very confusing to me. And I don't know. And this was just, again, kind of the worst of all that old movie stuff that I hate. The way they talk and the way the story was presented. I'm sure it's considered a classic. It won Best Picture. I did not like this movie at all. The acting was terrible. Like the actors and mostly the actresses, especially the one that played the servant wife, was super annoying. And then they had like another woman that joined the serving staff later that she was super annoying. Just their acting was really bad. So I did not care for any of that. I'll just read a little bit. And I will say the two main actors were pretty good because they played themselves. They played the characters from being in their, I don't know, in their 30s to, into their 60s or whatever. And they did pretty good, especially when they were playing the last versions of themselves. But it basically, the rich people, the main rich guy and the main servant man, butler, whatever he is, they both end up having to go off into the Second Boer War. And when they come back, they're both fine. The Alfred, who is the servant, announces that he's going to buy his own pub. He got money from somebody that he served in the war with, and goes on to open a pub. It cuts to a few years later, and he's now an alcoholic because he's running a bar and is managing the pub poorly, and gets drunk and ends up going out and getting run over by a horse and carriage and fire engine and dies. And so it was all just this like series of kind of shitty events. And it was just, I don't know, it was a real bummer of a movie. And then the Titanic thing. And then I think, then the youngest son, so he falls in love with the daughter of the servants, and they have this affair for a while and don't tell their parents. He proposes, but she's kind of hesitant because of their different social classes. Just after armistice is announced in 1918, Ellen reveals the affair to Jane and demands that Joe marry Fanny when he returns. While Jane and Ellen argue, Jane receives a telegram informing her that Joe has been killed in battle. So both of their sons died. The husband of the servant couple died. It was just, it was awful. It was an awful movie. I did not care for it. Let's see a little behind the scenes. So anyway, my review did not recommend it. Did not like it. Production: Fox Movietone newsreel cameramen were sent to London to record the original stage production as a guide for the film adaptation. Frank Borzage was originally going to direct, but he departed in June 1932 to work on another project. Fox production head Winfield Sheehan decided to use a British director to do the film setting, and Frank Lloyd was brought on board. Production took place from early October to November 29, 1932. The film was one of the first to use the words damn and hell, as in hell of a lot. These had been used in the play There was concern at the Hayes office this could set a precedent. Fox president Sidney Kent was quoted saying the mild profanity could not offend any person. And after all, that was the real purpose of the code. And as far as the use creating a precedent which might be followed by other producers is concerned, the best answer would be that anyone who could make a picture as good as Cavalcade might be justified in following precedent. Instant commercial success, earning $1 million in North American rentals. Yeah, I don't know this. I mean, I think I've said this before about other movies that I've watched during this, that I understand why they would have been popular at the time, why audiences then would have loved them. And I'm sure this movie would have made them hit the vapors many, many times throughout it. But it was not good to me. Maybe the play is better, but it was a real downer of a movie. And like I said, some of the acting was bad and just for me. So that's all I got for this one. Just a little bit of data here. So as I said, there were 10 movies this Oscar year, and I only had to pay for one of them, which is $4.23. So my average was 42 cents a movie for this round. Not bad. Averages so far, total spent is $102.46. So the average spent is $2.85. When I add in the DVD player that I had to buy for the one movie, that changes to $134.52 spent and $3.64 averaged. This round contained the shortest movie in all of the Oscar movies, which was She Done Him Wrong with Mae West at 66 minutes. Glorious. So far I've watched 3,477 minutes of movies, which is about 9 hours and 57 minutes. I've watched 35 movies, which is about 6% of the total. Next up, still called Outstanding Production for the 1934 Oscars. This is the first year where it's just 1 year of movies. So the last ones have been, 1927 to 28, 28 to 29, so on and so forth, all the way up to 1932, 33. Now it's 1934 only, and then it continues that way on to the present. This next round, the next two rounds actually have 12 movies, which is ugh. And one of these movies called The White Parade is not available. So I will not be able to watch that one. So there'll only be 11 for me to watch in this next round, but it's still a lot. Anyway, on to the next round. Hopefully I can get through them quicker. See you next time.